Welcome to Sleepy Science. Here's something strange. Your body already obeys your mind, not your thoughts but the ones you barely notice. Pain, fatigue, even strength, everything changes before you realize it. Limits aren't real. Time feels different. The body responds to belief, prediction, and attention. Tonight, you'll hear the most fascinating facts about mind over matter that quietly control your body. Stay until the end and your mind might start listening differently. Subscribe to Sleepy Science for more. Before you even think about it, your body has already started moving. It's subtle at first. Your heart beats slightly faster or slower. A muscle tightens without you noticing. Your breath shifts in rhythm, almost as if it's listening to something invisible. You might not feel any of this, but it is happening every second beneath the surface of awareness. It is the quiet intelligence of your body responding before you ever tell it to. And this is where control truly begins, before thought steps in, before consciousness takes a seat. You might imagine that you are fully in charge of your movements, your reactions, your decisions. But that is only part of the story. The truth is stranger. There is a whole layer of responses that occur before you even notice the signals coming from the world. The body reacts first and the mind follows. A cold breeze touches your skin. Your fingers curl slightly, long before your brain has the chance to name it as cold. Someone enters the room. Your chest tightens, your pupils widen, your muscles adjust. You may only realize it afterward. That is the pattern: reaction before recognition, movement before thought. These micro-adjustments are happening all the time. The skin senses. The nerves send fragments of information. The brain pieces them together into what you later call awareness. You believe you are deciding how to respond, but really, you are catching up to a decision that was made moments before. It is a strange kind of invisible command, a silent dialogue between parts of your body that you will never consciously hear. And if you pay attention, you can start to notice how often your mind is playing catch-up. Consider your heartbeat. It does not wait for permission from your conscious self. It accelerates before you realize fear, slows before you feel calm. It responds to your thoughts, yes, but also to ideas that haven't even fully formed. There are milliseconds in which your body knows something your mind does not. Scientists have measured this. They call it preconscious processing. It is not magic. It is the result of the body's network acting faster than your conscious awareness. Yet, when you understand it, it begins to feel almost like magic. A secret layer of control operating quietly under your notice. Muscle tension works in a similar way. When danger is near or even imagined, muscles tighten automatically. You don't ask them to. Your mind has not decided yet. Your body is simply preparing. The arms flex, the shoulders shift, the neck stiffens, all before you think about holding yourself upright or defending yourself. Even when you are completely still, there is movement at the microscopic level. Small adjustments to balance, posture, and stability are occurring constantly. Each is unnoticed, but each is essential. Each reaction is an instruction the body follows without waiting for a conscious command. Breathing is another hidden signal. It changes subtly according to the environment, your emotions, or even the ideas that flit through your mind before you notice them. Take a slow moment and feel your chest. Even now, your breath is adjusting. Perhaps it deepens slightly, perhaps it shortens. Your body is responding to something you are not aware of yet. That is the mystery of this silent system. It is always ahead. It prepares before thought catches up. It acts before recognition. Even reflexes, the simplest movements, follow this pattern. Touch something hot and your hand jerks back before the pain arrives. Trip over an unseen object and your muscles tighten to prevent the fall before your mind understands the danger. All of this is happening faster than thought, faster than reason. The body has a preemptive intelligence, a way of predicting what will happen and responding instantly. And yet, we rarely notice this layer of control because it feels normal. It feels like life simply unfolding. But it is much more fascinating. It is a story of reaction preceding awareness. There is a rhythm to all of this. Signals pass through the nervous system, chemicals pulse in perfect timing, and micro-movements ripple through the muscles. Each is a tiny calculation, a split-second decision made without your knowledge. When you realize this, it changes how you perceive your own control. You begin to understand that what you think of as choice is only the final chapter in a story your body has been writing long before you arrived. The mind follows the body's lead. It interprets, rationalizes, and names what has already happened. Even emotions are part of this. Fear, excitement, anticipation, and calm all trigger micro-adjustments before you label them. Your palms may sweat, your heart may race, your stomach tightens. You notice these later and say, "I was nervous," or "I was excited, but the body felt it first." It reacted, it prepared. It responded to subtle signals that your conscious mind never processed. You only become aware after the first wave of reaction has passed. It is a hidden dialogue, a secret communication between body and environment, with the mind arriving late to the conversation. What does this mean for how we think about control? If reactions come first, if awareness always follows, what is consciousness really doing? Is it deciding? Or is it observing a story that has already begun? The answer is unsettling. Consciousness does not command as much as it believes it does. It perceives, it interprets, it narrates. And yet, even as a narrator, it has influence. The awareness of these hidden reactions allows you to notice patterns. It allows you to guide responses over time, but only if you realize how much happens before thought. Even in sleep, the body follows this pattern. Your heart adjusts to your dreams. Your muscles respond to imagined threats. Your breathing shifts according to subconscious rhythms, all without conscious choice. When awake, it feels like you are in control. When asleep, it is more obvious. The body continues reacting while consciousness is dormant. The system is always working, always adjusting, always anticipating. The most fascinating part is that these reactions are not random. They are finely tuned to the environment and your own history. Micro-adjustments have patterns. They are learned. They are predictive. Your body remembers how you responded in the past and uses that information to prepare for what might happen next. Even before thought begins, the system is running simulations, adjusting outcomes and preparing reactions. The mind may feel like the captain, but the crew has already set the course. So the next time you feel a sudden change in your body, a heartbeat quickening, a muscle tightening, a breath shortening, pause for a moment. That is not coincidence. That is the body's quiet intelligence. That is mind over matter in its earliest form. The mind watches, but the body acts. It sets the stage. It moves before you even realize a scene is unfolding. And if reactions lead, if the system is always ahead, then consciousness itself becomes a question. What is it for? What does it do when the body is already deciding? Every moment, you are part of this invisible dance. Every movement, every shift, every micro-adjustment is proof of the body's silent authority. It is not always perfect. Sometimes it overreacts, sometimes it underestimates, but the pattern is always there. The body responds first. The mind narrates second. And in that gap between action and awareness lies the most fascinating mystery of all. A system of control that happens quietly, invisibly, and relentlessly, without asking permission. If you can notice even a fraction of it, you start to understand how much the mind is truly capable of, how deeply the body listens, and how much more there is to explore. We all feel limits. They appear suddenly like invisible walls. You are running, lifting, climbing, or even just thinking, and then something stops you. Your arms feel heavy. Your legs feel weak. Your mind screams, "Enough." You believe it is your body saying no, but the truth is stranger. The limits you feel are not real in the way you think. They are warnings, signals designed to protect you, not punish you. They are part of a system older than you, older than your conscious mind. Imagine a hunter long ago. He is running through the forest. He is tired. His muscles ache. He can feel the strain in his bones. Every step is harder than the last. But then he slows. Something inside tells him to stop. It is not his legs that stop. It is the warning system in his body. Fatigue is a signal, not a failure. Pain is a signal, not punishment. The mind interprets it as a wall, but the body knows it is only caution. Its job is to keep him from collapsing, from breaking, from dying. Limits are like safety rails built into every human. They are exaggerations of danger. They make you feel you cannot go further, even when you can. They make your mind believe that effort has reached the end. But this is intentional. The body would rather overreact than risk harm. This is why athletes sometimes feel they cannot lift another weight, even when the muscles are ready. This is why runners stop before they reach the real edge. The brain has created a ceiling that is lower than reality, so the body stays alive. Pain works the same way. Pain is not always a punishment. It is a warning light. It tells you, pay attention, slow down, don't break. But it can be more powerful than it needs to be. Sometimes the signal is stronger than the risk. Your mind interprets the warning as a limit. You feel trapped. You think you cannot continue. Yet the body often has more capacity than you believe. The ceiling you hit is not real. It is protective fiction. Effort feels heavy because your mind is listening to these warnings. Your perception is filtering signals from the body and exaggerating them. The muscles may have energy left. The lungs may have oxygen left. But the system designed to protect you has decided it is enough, and your mind believes it. That is why limits feel absolute. That is why they feel unbreakable. And that is why understanding them is strange, almost unsettling. The walls you feel are only shadows. This is not imagination. Scientists have studied this. They have observed people pushing beyond pain, endurance, and fatigue when the signals were interpreted differently. When attention shifted, when belief changed, the limits moved. They did not disappear completely, but they became flexible. Your body is capable of more than your mind often allows. It is not lying to you. It is protecting you. But protection is not truth. It is caution dressed as reality. Even in ordinary life, limits appear. You sit at your desk. You are tired. You cannot focus. You feel drained. You think it is mental fatigue. But your body is sending signals based on safety, energy, and prior experience. It has built a barrier before damage occurs. The mind perceives it as impossibility. It is easy to forget that these limits were once survival tools. They were never meant to feel like failure. They were designed to prevent catastrophe. Every human carries this system. Everyone has signals they cannot hear clearly. A warning that feels like impossibility is often only the body exaggerating danger. The mind believes it is absolute because the system is effective. It works. That is the point. You stop. You survive. You continue tomorrow. But the experience feels like you hit the end. It feels like a wall. The truth is that the wall is thinner than it seems. It moves, bends, and shifts depending on how the mind interprets it. Even in extreme conditions, limits are flexible. Soldiers in battle, climbers on mountains, and athletes in peak performance all experience the same pattern. Pain screams, muscles burn, lungs strain. The brain insists on stopping, and yet something happens. A signal changes. Attention shifts. belief changes. Suddenly, the wall feels softer, the weight feels lighter, the run feels possible, the climb feels achievable. The system is still protecting, but it has responded to interpretation. It has adapted. This is where the mystery begins. Limits are not walls. They are stories your body tells your mind. Stories about what could happen if you go too far. Stories that exaggerate danger to keep you safe. And when the mind learns to read them differently, the story changes. The ceiling rises. The wall dissolves. You realize that much of what you felt as impossible was never absolute. It was guided caution, dressed as limitation. Think about effort, too. Every movement takes energy. The mind senses effort before the body actually tires. It measures how much strain is safe and sometimes adds extra. You feel exhausted long before exhaustion is real. It is preemptive caution. It is a system running simulations in the background. You interpret it as failure, but it is anticipation, not truth. The body has more capacity than your mind usually perceives. Fatigue and pain are also influenced by memory. The body remembers prior experiences. If yesterday hurt, today feels harder. If the last climb was dangerous, the next one seems impossible. The mind listens to these patterns and treats them as limits. But the limits are shadows. They are echoes of past caution, not measures of current capacity. You are often capable of more than your mind allows you to believe. Even sleep interacts with this system. When you wake after rest, your body has already assessed energy levels, risks, and readiness. The mind interprets the result as alert or tired, but the evaluation happened quietly during the night. Limits are set before awareness. Signals prepare the body before you even decide to move. Protection always comes first. Recognition comes later. This is why understanding limits is strange. They feel absolute, yet they are negotiable. They feel unmovable, yet they respond to interpretation. They feel like the body is controlling you, yet the body is guiding you toward survival. And if you start noticing this, it changes how you approach everything. Effort, pain, fatigue, they are signals, not judgments, warnings, not walls, shadows of caution, not truth. So the next time you feel a wall, pause, notice it, understand it. Ask yourself, is this really the end, or is it the body protecting you? Limits are always in dialogue with the mind. They respond to perception, belief, and attention. They are flexible, not final. And the more you understand their nature, the more you realize just how much of control is happening silently, before thought even arrives. Every person carries this system, and every person experiences it. The mind believes it is in charge. The body disagrees quietly, subtly, without argument. It whispers warnings. It builds shadows. It tells the story of caution. And in that story, you often see the wall. But understanding the story is the first step toward realizing that the wall is not as solid as it seems. What we feel as limits is often our own interpretation of the body's caution. And the true mystery is this: these systems respond not to force but to understanding. They shift when you notice. They bend when the mind interprets differently. They obey subtle signals more than conscious commands. Fatigue, pain, effort, they are instructions in disguise. And when you see them clearly, the absolute walls start to feel like doors waiting to be opened. Your mind is always ahead of you, not in a daydream or imagination, but in a quiet, invisible way that shapes everything you feel. The world you experience is not the world as it is. It is the world as your brain predicted it would be. Every sight, sound, touch, and sensation passes through layers of expectation before it even reaches awareness. Your perception is built before reality arrives. What you notice, what you feel, and what you call experience is actually the brain checking its forecast against the signals coming in. This happens in milliseconds. A person walking toward you on the street is not only seen. The mind predicts their speed, direction, even the shape of their next step. Your body reacts before your conscious awareness kicks in. You shift weight slightly. You adjust your balance. You prepare for a movement that hasn't happened yet. Reality only arrives later to confirm what the mind already expected. This is the hidden engine behind everything you do, and most people never notice it. Think about simple things, picking up a cup of water. Your mind already predicts the weight, the resistance, the effort needed. Your fingers tighten or loosen just right. If the prediction is off, you spill or fumble. If the forecast is correct, everything feels smooth. You believe you acted perfectly, but the truth is the mind rehearsed the movement before the muscles ever moved. It is prediction first, action second, confirmation third. This happens with sensations too. Pain, temperature, pressure, tension, all are compared against what the mind expects. If the expectation says something is safe, you barely notice it. If the expectation warns of danger, your body reacts before reality has fully arrived. A sharp noise might make you flinch. Your heart skips a beat, even if the sound is harmless. Your body responds to the forecast, not the fact. The mind is running simulations all the time, and reality is just filling in the gaps. Even more surprising is how effort is measured. When you try to lift something heavy, your body often limits you before you reach true maximum capacity. The mind predicts strain, predicts energy expenditure, predicts possible damage, and slows you down in advance. Sometimes these predictions are correct. Sometimes they are overly cautious. But either way, they are your experience. The wall you hit, the fatigue you feel, the moment you think you have nothing left, often it is the brain anticipating, not the body failing. The brain's forecasting works in layers. First, it gathers information from past experience. It remembers how heavy an object was last time, how tired you felt after that run, how your body reacted in similar moments. Then, it combines that memory with immediate signals from the senses. Finally, it runs tiny simulations, predicting what will happen in the next fraction of a second. Only then does it send commands to your body. You think you are acting in real time, but the real time has already passed. The mind predicted it first. Reality confirmed it second. This explains strange moments we all experience. You walk into a dark room and your muscles tense before you know what is there. You hear a rustle and your body jumps, even though the danger isn't real. Your stomach tightens when you remember something unpleasant, even before you fully recall the memory. Each reaction is guided by prediction. Each movement, each feeling, each adjustment is filtered through expectation. And the results are what you call reality. The forecasting mind also explains why surprises feel sudden. A sudden sound, an unexpected touch, a change in the environment, it feels like reality arrived before you could react. But in truth, the mind predicted something slightly different. The difference between forecast and reality is what you notice as shock or startle. Your experience is shaped by the gap, by the tiny error in prediction. When the prediction matches reality perfectly, you barely notice it. The world feels normal. When it doesn't, everything seems extraordinary. Even emotions are affected. Anxiety, excitement, fear, and anticipation all depend on what the mind predicts. When you worry about the future, the brain runs simulations, imagining outcomes and rehearsing reactions. Your body responds as if those events are happening now. Your heart races, your muscles tense, your stomach twists. And when the event arrives, often nothing happens. Yet your body has already lived through it, guided by the mind's forecast. The line between real and imagined becomes almost invisible. This predictive system is not limited to danger. It works for skill, coordination, and learning. When you practice a sport, play an instrument, or even type on a keyboard, your mind is predicting every movement before it happens. You adjust your hands, your eyes, your posture based on expectations. Success comes from how well the forecast matches reality. Failure comes when the forecast is off. Your experience, your perception of ability, is shaped more by prediction than by actual immediate events. The most fascinating part is that you can influence the forecast. If you expect pain, fatigue, or difficulty, the body reacts in advance. If you expect calm, ease, or flow, the body adjusts differently. Prediction is not fixed. It can be trained, guided, and even bypassed. Changing what your mind anticipates changes how the body responds. The wall you thought was there may dissolve. The weight may feel lighter. The challenge may feel possible. And all of it happens before the conscious mind has fully realized what is happening. This is why mind over matter works in ways that feel mysterious. The body is not simply obeying commands. It is responding to predictions, expectations, and rehearsals that have been running quietly in the background. Conscious thought arrives too late to control the first layer of response. It interprets the result, labels it, and often takes credit. Yet the real control occurs in the unseen calculations, in the simulations that occur before reality arrives. Understanding this changes how you perceive your own limits, pain, and effort. It reveals that much of what feels fixed is actually flexible. If you notice the forecast your mind is running, you can begin to adjust them. You can nudge the expectations, shift attention, and slowly rewrite the system's assumptions. What once felt impossible can feel achievable. What once felt heavy can feel lighter. And all of this is done without forcing the body, without pushing past limits blindly. The mind, when aware of its predictions, becomes the key to subtle control. Even in sleep, this predictive engine is active. The brain runs simulations while the body rests. Dreams are rehearsals. Movements in sleep are responses to imagined scenarios. The forecasting system never stops. It continues silently, shaping perception, guiding the body, and preparing reactions. Conscious awareness only notices after the fact. What you experience upon waking is already influenced by forecasts made hours before, by a system working invisibly while you slept. So the next time you feel something before it happens, fear, tension, anticipation, excitement, pause, notice it. Understand that your mind predicted it. Your body responded. Reality confirmed it. The mind is a forecasting engine, and your experience is the result of its quiet calculations. It predicts, you act. The world checks the forecast, and your conscious mind narrates the result. In this cycle lies the mystery of mind over matter. Perception before reality, rehearsal before action, prediction before experience. Every movement, every adjustment, every sensation is shaped by what the mind expects. The experience you call life is a constant confirmation of those forecasts. And the more aware you become of this system, the more you realize the subtle ways you can influence it. Because changing the forecast changes the experience. And once you see that, the limits, the pain, and the fatigue that seem fixed begin to shift. They are no longer walls. They are signals. Signals that can be read, understood, and quietly guided. Belief is stronger than most people realize. Not the kind you say out loud. Not the speeches or thoughts you repeat to yourself. The kind that matters lives deeper, hidden beneath awareness. It is a silent program that runs your body without permission. You feel limits, fatigue, or pain, but belief quietly decides how strong those signals will be. It shapes what your body allows, even when your conscious mind does not notice. Imagine someone climbing a mountain. Their muscles ache. Their legs burn. The lungs scream for oxygen. And yet they continue. Not because they are shouting encouragement or trying harder. They continue because somewhere inside their belief, their internal model of themselves, is telling their body that they can. It is subtle, almost invisible, but it changes everything. The nervous system listens. The muscles follow. The heart responds. The body adjusts to a threshold that the mind did not consciously set. Belief works like a background program. It keeps running even when attention is elsewhere. It interprets signals and reshapes limits. Long before a conscious decision is made, belief has already adjusted endurance, shifted fatigue, and modulated pain. You feel effort in the body, but that feeling is filtered through expectations you are not even aware of. The ceiling you sense, the wall you see, is often not real. It is only what your belief system allows you to perceive. This explains strange observations in real life. Soldiers have run miles with broken feet. Climbers have ascended when their muscles were screaming to stop. People recover faster after injuries when they act with confidence and expectation, without even realizing the change. The body responds to the internal story, the belief quietly setting the rules. Nothing magical is happening. No conscious instruction is given. Just the deep wiring of belief operating in the background. Even ordinary actions are affected. Think about waking up in the morning. If you believe today will be exhausting, your body prepares for it. You feel heavier. Your movements are slower. Your energy seems low. The signals are real, but they are amplified by the internal model you carry. If you hold a different belief, even subtly, your body reacts differently. The energy you have, the thresholds your muscles follow, the effort your mind perceives, all are reshaped by internal expectation. Belief can change recovery too. A runner who expects to heal quickly after a workout often does recover faster, not because they are forcing their body, not because of conscious effort, but because their internal model allows the nervous system to relax thresholds, to restore balance, to optimize repair. Expectation quietly modifies signals at a cellular level, at the level of muscles, nerves, and hormones. The process is invisible, subtle, and powerful. The body listens to belief even when the conscious mind does not. This explains why some athletes surprise themselves. They think they are reaching their limit, yet suddenly they find strength they did not know they had. The body is capable. The mind believes it is not. But the internal model, the belief operating below awareness, has already shifted the threshold. The nervous system obeys silently, allowing performance beyond what is consciously imagined. Limits are not walls. They are suggestions that belief can reshape. Pain is influenced in the same way. If you believe a task is manageable, pain signals are dampened. If you believe something is dangerous, signals become louder. The body follows belief automatically. You do not tell it to adjust, it simply does. And the mind only notices afterward. You feel the change, but you rarely see the mechanism behind it. That is the mystery. Belief is not effort. It is not thinking. It is the quiet system-level command that decides how far your body will go, how hard it will work, and how strongly it will respond. Even in daily life, this plays out. You think you cannot walk faster, lift heavier, or endure longer. Yet if you trust your capability, even unconsciously, the body accommodates. Steps feel easier, muscles respond better, stamina lasts longer. The internal model sets thresholds that the conscious mind does not consciously approve or command. It operates silently, automatically, below the radar of attention. It is always shaping experience, always guiding capacity, always setting limits that are flexible rather than fixed. Belief is not just about strength or effort. It governs subtle signals too. Heart rate, breath, tension, and recovery are all affected by expectation. The body has patterns and belief tunes them. The mind notices only what is necessary for consciousness. It narrates the experience after the system has already adjusted. That is why two people can experience the same task very differently. One feels exhausted. The other feels manageable effort. The difference is not just training. It is the internal model, the belief quietly running the system in the background. The hidden power of belief shows that experience is not reality. Reality arrives later. The internal model shapes what is possible, what feels real, and what feels impossible. Your body is listening to a story you may not even be aware of. The muscles, the heart, the nerves, they respond before you notice. And when you start to understand this, the world becomes stranger. Effort, pain, limits, recovery, they are not only physical phenomena. They are commands issued by belief, silently and automatically. It is not about thinking positively or trying harder. It is not about cheering yourself on. Those are conscious interventions that may or may not align with the internal program. The real work happens quietly. The system adjusts thresholds. It modulates signals. It prepares the body to perform beyond what you expect consciously. Belief is a hidden hand, shaping the rules before awareness arrives. This is why understanding belief changes everything. You can see limits differently. You can notice fatigue and pain as signals rather than walls. You can recognize recovery as influenced by expectation. You can start to observe the system that operates beneath awareness. And the more you notice it, the more subtle control becomes possible. Not by forcing the body, not by willing it, but by seeing how the internal model guides everything silently, invisibly, automatically. Even in quiet moments, belief is active. Sitting still, walking slowly, or lying down, the body reacts to expectations that have been built over years. Long-held assumptions shape responses. You act according to patterns that you rarely notice. Thresholds are set, energy is allocated, signals are adjusted, all according to belief operating below consciousness. It is a system-level override, quietly deciding what the body will allow. The mystery is that belief operates without requiring awareness. You do not need to think about it. You do not need to plan it. The body obeys. The heart beats according to the model. Muscles adjust automatically. Recovery follows the pattern. Pain is modulated. Effort is guided. And consciousness only notices after the system has acted. It narrates the outcome, unaware that the real decision happened before thought. So the next time you notice yourself pushing farther than you thought possible, or recovering quicker than you expected, or moving with unexpected ease, remember this. It is not luck. It is not effort alone. It is the hidden program of belief shaping your body's responses, quietly and invisibly below awareness. It is the engine running behind the scenes. And once you understand that, you begin to see how much of mind over matter is already working without you ever realizing it. What you notice matters more than you realize. Not in the way people usually think. It is not about creating reality. Reality exists already. The world moves, the body reacts, signals flow. But attention is the tool that decides which signals get louder and which fade into the background. It does not create, it amplifies. It shines a spotlight on parts of experience that already exist, and what it ignores grows weaker, less likely to influence you. Belief sets the stage. It defines the range of what is possible. It determines the thresholds your body accepts, the limits your nervous system respects, and the signals your mind interprets as meaningful. Attention works within that range. It does not break the boundaries set by belief. Instead, it turns up the volume on the things that fall inside them. Imagine a shadowy room. Belief is the walls of the room. Attention is the lamp that illuminates one corner while leaving the rest in darkness. The unseen corners still exist. They still influence the room. But what you see, feel, and respond to becomes stronger. This is why focus feels so powerful. When you notice your heartbeat, your muscles, your breathing, or even a tiny ache, those signals become more real. The nervous system reacts to your noticing. A small tension that you ignored yesterday now feels much stronger today because attention has amplified it. Conversely, signals that are ignored fade. Pain seems softer when your mind does not dwell on it. Effort feels lighter when your attention is elsewhere. Nothing changes in the body itself. Only the emphasis changes. The volume of the signal shifts and perception follows. This is why repeated noticing matters. The brain is like a network of paths. Every time you notice something, you strengthen that path. You tell the system, silently, that this signal matters. Your neurons reinforce the route. Patterns become habitual. Responses grow predictable. The more attention you give to something, the more influence it has over experience. And the things you never notice, even if they are happening, have less influence. They weaken because your mind is simply not allowing them space. Attention can even shape performance. A runner may notice fatigue in one leg more than the other. That leg will feel heavier, slower, and more exhausted, even if both legs are equally capable. The mind amplifies the signals that attention highlights. A musician practicing a piece may stumble where their focus rests, but flows smoothly in sections that are ignored. Attention does not create the notes, or the movement, or the effort. It amplifies what you are already capable of perceiving. It decides which signals become loud enough to shape your experience. Pain is affected in the same way. A small ache can grow into something overwhelming when your mind focuses on it. The body itself has not changed, but the nervous system responds to the attention. Chemicals and signals intensify. Muscles tighten. Heart rate shifts. Everything that your attention highlights is reinforced by the brain. And when your focus moves elsewhere, the signals quiet. They continue to exist, but their power diminishes. Attention acts like a lens that determines which signals dominate your perception. Even emotions are amplified by attention. Anxiety can feel crushing when the mind dwells on every possibility. Excitement becomes vivid when every detail of a positive experience is noticed. Fear grows stronger when the body registers subtle threats, and attention magnifies them. Joy, curiosity, calm, they are all reinforced in the same way. What you notice repeatedly grows stronger. What you ignore fades quietly into the background. The mind is constantly choosing what to reinforce, and attention is the instrument that does it. This explains why experiences can feel so different from one person to another. Two people may be in the same situation, facing the same signals, yet perceive it completely differently. One notices danger, the other ignores it. One dwells on fatigue, the other barely feels it. Attention acts like a lens, turning up the intensity of some signals while muting others. Reality itself does not change. The world is the same, but the experience of it shifts dramatically. What is highlighted becomes real in perception, and what is ignored recedes, almost disappearing. Attention works quietly, automatically, and often without awareness. You may think you are simply experiencing the world, but your mind is filtering, highlighting, amplifying. Tiny things you notice repeatedly become central to your experience. Tiny things you ignore lose their influence. The body, the nervous system, even thought itself, respond to the amplification. The brain prioritizes signals that attention has highlighted. Neural pathways strengthen. Responses become habitual. And the system, almost silently, reinforces the story your attention tells it. This is why mindfulness, focus, and awareness feel so powerful. They are not changing reality. They are changing which signals your mind chooses to amplify. They are shaping perception by reinforcing some paths and weakening others. Pain, effort, fatigue, recovery, strength, they all follow this pattern. The body reacts to signals that attention emphasizes. The mind experiences what the spotlight reveals. And what is left in darkness quietly fades, although it still exists. Even in subtle ways, attention shapes how belief operates. The thresholds that belief sets become more or less influential depending on where your attention rests. A person who notices limits constantly experiences them more strongly. Someone who shifts attention away notices limits less. The same system, the same body, the same signals, but the experience changes entirely. The amplification determines what matters in the moment. Attention does not invent reality. It only decides which signals dominate consciousness. This is why you can feel stronger, calmer, or more capable simply by changing where you focus. Not by trying harder, not by forcing the body to obey. Simply by highlighting what is already possible, attention shapes experience. The nervous system listens. The muscles follow. The heart responds. Fatigue, tension, and discomfort are softened. Strength, calm, and flow are reinforced. Attention acts like a volume control, not a creator. It turns signals up or down and perception follows. Even in sleep, attention plays a subtle role. Dreams often highlight fragments of experience that were noticed repeatedly while awake. Signals reinforced by attention echo through the subconscious. What was noticed becomes vivid. What was ignored fades. And when awake, the mind experiences reality through the lens of those amplifications. The nervous system carries echoes of what attention has chosen to emphasize, shaping perception without conscious instruction. So the next time you notice a sensation, a feeling, or a signal in your body, remember that your mind is doing more than observing. It is amplifying, highlighting, reinforcing. Signals you give attention to grow stronger. Signals you ignore grow weaker. Reality itself does not change, but perception shifts. Effort, pain, energy, fatigue, strength, all are filtered through attention. And the more you notice, the more influence your mind has over experience. Attention does not create reality. It does not bend the world to your will. It does not invent signals that do not exist, but it magnifies what is already there. It shapes perception. It tunes the nervous system. It reinforces pathways. And by doing so, it quietly controls how reality is experienced. What you notice becomes louder. What you ignore fades. And the story of your body, mind, and experience is written not only by belief, but also by the signals you choose to shine a light on. Pain is not what you think it is. Most people assume pain is a simple signal of damage, a warning, a stop sign, a line that cannot be crossed, but it is far more complex than that. Pain is a form of information. It tells you about context, not just injury. It is a message from your body, filtered through your mind, responding to perceived danger and safety. The same injury can feel unbearable or barely noticeable depending on the story your brain is telling itself. Imagine a soldier on the battlefield. He takes a wound, the body is damaged, yet in the moment he feels almost nothing. Adrenaline, focus, expectation, and belief all modulate the signals. Pain is reduced. The injury is real. The nerves are firing, but the intensity is muted by context. The mind interprets the signals differently because survival demands it. Later, when the immediate danger passes, the same wound feels sharp and impossible. Pain responds to meaning. It is not fixed. It negotiates. Even in daily life, this happens. A small cut can feel unbearable if you focus on it if the mind interprets it as serious. Another time, a much larger injury may hardly be noticed because your attention is elsewhere, because you feel safe, or because you are engaged in something urgent. The body reacts to context first, to the interpretation of the signal, and not only to the raw signal itself. Pain is not a strict measurement of harm. It is a conversation between body, mind, and situation. Pain is also shaped by expectation. If you expect something to hurt, it usually will. The nervous system amplifies the signal. The muscles tighten, heart rate increases. Every part of your body reacts to the expectation of threat. Conversely, if the mind anticipates safety, pain diminishes. Signals are still there, still real, but they are interpreted differently. Pain becomes a gauge of perceived threat rather than absolute damage. The story behind the signal changes the sensation. Consider sports or endurance challenges. Athletes often feel pain and fatigue in a way that seems impossible to overcome. Yet under certain circumstances, the same signals disappear or weaken. A runner chasing a goal may feel every step as agony. A moment later, spurred by focus, belief, or attention, the pain subsides. No healing has occurred. No damage has vanished. Only context has shifted. The mind has negotiated with the body, and the nervous system adjusts the volume of the signal. This shows that pain is not a command. It does not dictate what the body can or cannot do. It is a negotiator. It communicates risk. It warns. It advises. But it is always influenced by interpretation. Threat increases pain. Safety reduces it. Context decides intensity. The same nerve signal can be a whisper or a scream, depending on how the mind reads it. Understanding this changes how you experience limits and endurance. Even subtle cues influence pain. A reassuring voice can soften the ache. A calm environment can reduce intensity. Music can change perception. Focus on other sensations can shift attention and lower pain. The body is listening to context more than to damage itself. It is negotiating, adjusting thresholds, and responding dynamically. Pain is not static. It is always a conversation. Pain also interacts with memory. Past experiences inform present sensation. A previous injury may heighten perception of pain in a similar situation. Alternatively, confidence and repeated exposure can reduce pain. The nervous system uses history to predict threat and respond accordingly. This is why people who train, condition, or expose themselves gradually to stress often feel less pain over time. The body adapts, but the mind interprets. Pain is filtered through both. Even in extreme circumstances, the same rules apply. Soldiers, climbers, and athletes regularly demonstrate that pain can vanish under certain conditions. Survival, focus, expectation, and attention all reshape the signals. The nervous system obeys the interpretation, not only the raw signal. Damage remains. Nerves still fire. Muscles still react. But the experience of pain is negotiable. It is flexible. It responds to meaning. Pain is closely linked to threat assessment. The nervous system is always asking, is this dangerous? Is it urgent? Should the body respond immediately? Every painful signal carries a hidden question. Your mind provides the answer. If the answer suggests immediate threat, pain intensifies. If the answer suggests safety, pain diminishes. You may feel almost nothing in a risky situation, yet feel the same stimulus as unbearable when alone or fearful. Pain adapts to context, not just condition. This explains why mindfulness, meditation, and focus can reduce perceived pain. They do not remove the signal. They do not heal the injury instantly, but they shift context. They signal safety, reduce threat, and change interpretation. The nervous system adjusts accordingly. Pain is still present, but its intensity is modulated. The body communicates. The mind interprets. The experience changes. Pain negotiates. It does not command. Even minor attention shifts affect pain. Focusing on breathing, movement, or a goal can lessen discomfort. Focusing on the pain itself amplifies it. Signals remain, but the experience is reshaped. The body responds to interpretation, to perceived importance, to emphasis. Attention, belief, and context all amplify or reduce the signal. Pain is a collaborator in the system, not a dictator. The same principle applies to chronic conditions. Pain often persists because the nervous system predicts threat even when there is little or no current damage. The mind interprets signals according to long-held patterns. Belief, attention, and context shape the experience. The pain is real in perception, but is negotiable in intensity. Shifting context changes how the system responds. Understanding this allows subtle influence over experience. Even in sleep, pain continues to interact with context. Dreams, subconscious attention, and prior experiences influence intensity. The body responds to meaning. Nerves signal, the mind interprets, thresholds adjust. Waking up, the experience of pain is a reflection not only of the body's signals, but also of how context, attention, and belief have negotiated those signals. Pain is an ongoing conversation, not a command. So the next time you notice discomfort or ache, remember this. It is not a wall. It is not an absolute command. It is a signal shaped by context, attention, and belief. It negotiates, it advises, it warns. Threat amplifies it. Safety softens it. What you focus on, what you expect, and what you believe all shape how the nervous system communicates. Pain is alive. It responds. It guides. And understanding that it negotiates rather than commands gives you a subtle control you never realized existed. Pain is not your enemy. It is a messenger. It is a guide. It is a reflection of context and meaning. And once you notice that, you begin to see that mind over matter is not about ignoring pain. It is about understanding the negotiation. It is about shaping context, attention, and belief. It is about listening to the signals while recognizing that they do not dictate the outcome. Pain talks. You can learn to listen and respond differently. Time is not what it seems. Most people believe it is constant, measured by clocks and calendars, but perception of time is surprisingly flexible. It stretches and compresses depending on the mind, the body, and the context. One moment can feel endless. Another can vanish before you realize it. This is not imagination. It is proof of how much control the mind quietly holds over experience. Think about moments of intense focus when you are completely absorbed in a task. Hours can pass, and it feels like minutes. A painter lost in a canvas, a writer immersed in words, a musician practicing a difficult piece, all notice time bending. The body follows the mind. Heart rate, breath, attention, all flow in sync with perception. The clock on the wall does not change. Nothing external shifts. Yet internally, time seems to stretch, collapse, or freeze entirely. Fear does the opposite. When you are in danger, every second can feel like a lifetime. A sudden noise, a near accident, a frightening thought. The mind slows experience, heightening awareness. Every heartbeat, every sensation, every nerve firing is magnified. Time stretches because attention amplifies signals. Context matters. Belief, focus, and the interpretation of threat all shape the perception of duration. The body reacts as if the moment is longer, more urgent, more significant. Flow is another example. Athletes, performers, and skilled workers often describe it as a state where time disappears. The mind predicts, the body follows, attention amplifies, and belief sets thresholds. Nothing slows down or speeds up externally. The mind simply experiences the moment differently. Reality itself has not changed. Only perception has shifted. You feel faster, slower, or completely absent from temporal measurement. Time is constructed internally, bending to the mind state. Even everyday experiences show this. Waiting for a message or a phone call, a few minutes can feel like an eternity. In contrast, talking with someone engaging or being absorbed in work, hours can pass unnoticed. The signals the mind prioritizes, the attention it amplifies, the belief systems that guide expectation, all shape how long or short time feels. Time is a story your mind tells, not a constant ticking outside yourself. This explains why athletes can react faster under pressure. During a critical moment, perception of time expands. Movements appear slower. Decisions feel easier. The body responds more precisely. Muscles, nerves, and attention all synchronize. Nothing external has changed, but experience is altered. The mind constructs a reality where more can happen in the same physical moment. Time, in this sense, is a tool, not a constraint. Even subtle changes in mental state alter time perception. Anxiety, boredom, excitement, curiosity, fear, and absorption all modify the experience of duration. Your body follows. Heartbeat, breath, and neural processing respond to the constructed time. What feels long or short is a reflection of how the mind organizes signals. Perception becomes malleable. External events remain fixed. The internal experience is flexible, negotiable, and shaped by attention and belief. Memory interacts with time perception as well. Recollections of past events often feel distorted. A vacation may feel like it lasted weeks, even if it was days. A tense moment may seem to stretch endlessly in memory, even if it was brief. The mind reconstructs duration based on significance, context, and attention. This is not imagination or error. It is the same system that amplifies signals, negotiates pain, and sets thresholds. Time, like effort, fatigue, and perception, is a construct of the mind. Consider moments of danger again. A car suddenly swerves, a falling object approaches, or a critical decision must be made. The body reacts instantly. Heart rate rises, muscles tense, breath shifts, and perception of time slows dramatically. It is not the seconds themselves that change. It is the mind prioritizing signals, amplifying attention, and operating on prediction. Time is experienced as stretching, even though nothing external has shifted. The body and mind align in a high-resolution internal timeline. Even joy alters perception. Moments of delight, humor, and connection often pass unnoticed. Hours vanish. Minutes feel fleeting. The mind constructs the experience differently. Belief, attention, and expectation all shape how long a moment feels. The nervous system responds in kind. Heart rate may synchronize with emotional intensity. Breathing adjusts. Muscles relax or respond to subtle cues. The mind has created a new experience of time without changing reality. This shows how flexible perception can be. Your experience of the world is not only filtered through belief, attention, and context, but also through the mind's construction of time. Moments stretch or compress. Pain may seem longer or shorter. Effort may feel endless or fleeting. Perception adapts dynamically moment by moment. Time is internal, not external. It is experienced, negotiated, and amplified, not measured like a clock. Even in rest or sleep, time perception is altered. Dreams, subconscious attention, and the body's internal cycles all reshape duration. Moments may feel longer or shorter than they physically are. The brain processes experience, prediction, and memory in ways that manipulate perception. Waking, you may recall events as longer or shorter than they truly were. The mind has been running its internal clock, bending and shaping experience silently. This bending of time also reinforces control. If you understand that time is constructed internally, you realize the mind is not helpless. Perception can be guided. Moments can be expanded or compressed. Signals can be amplified or reduced. Pain, effort, fatigue, attention, belief all interact to shape duration. The internal clock is a tool, a measure of perception, and a reflection of how the mind negotiates signals. The idea is unsettling yet liberating. You cannot stop real time. Seconds will tick, hours will pass. The world moves independently, but the experience of those moments is yours to shape. Fear, flow, boredom, excitement, and absorption are all filters. They modify experience. The body reacts to this internal construction. Perception bends. Signals respond. Time is not fixed. It is flexible. And understanding that makes the mind over matter connection clearer than ever. So the next time a moment feels impossibly long or fleetingly short, pause. Notice that it is your mind shaping experience. Nothing external has changed. Your attention, belief, and perception are constructing the timeline. Heartbeat, breath, movement, effort, and endurance all follow the same pattern. Time is a negotiation, an interpretation, and a reflection of internal state. It proves that much of reality as you experience it is shaped before it even arrives. Time is, in its essence, an internal creation. It responds to focus, threat, absorption, and flow. It can expand to give you clarity, compress to give urgency, or vanish entirely in absorption. The world ticks the same, but your mind experiences it differently. Understanding this gives subtle control over perception, over effort, over endurance, over experience itself. Mind over matter is not just about body and signals. It is about how the mind constructs time itself. And in that realization, a strange power emerges. The limits you feel, the effort, the fatigue, even pain, all are subject to perception. Time, the frame in which all experience occurs, is not fixed. It is flexible, negotiable, and constructed internally. Your mind decides moment by moment how long a second feels, how weight is felt, how endurance is experienced. Reality remains constant. Experience is malleable. And that is one of the most profound ways mind over matter truly works. Your body is already acting before reality begins. Not because you are moving or planning. Not because there is a goal to reach or a problem to solve. It is acting on what never happened, on scenarios that exist only as signals in the nervous system. Your mind runs simulations, imagining movements, situations, outcomes, and the body responds as if they were real. Muscles tense, heart rate shifts, and neural pathways fire, all for an event that has not yet occurred. This is not magic. It is biology. The nervous system cannot tell the difference between a real experience and one that is vividly imagined. When you picture a movement, lift a weight in your mind, or rehearse an action silently, the same neural circuits activate as if the body were performing it. Small adjustments occur automatically. Coordination improves. Timing sharpens. Even balance can be trained without lifting a finger. The body treats imagined scenarios as preparation for reality. Consider a musician practicing a difficult piece. Simply imagining the fingers moving across keys or strings strengthens the neural pathways involved. The muscles subtly respond. Nerves fire. Reflexes adapt. No sound is made. No physical movement is required. Yet the body rehearses. Preparation occurs silently. Repetition in the mind leads to real improvement in the body. The nervous system cannot distinguish thought from action at this level. It reacts to potential events as if they were already happening. Athletes experience this in extreme ways. Runners, swimmers, and climbers often mentally rehearse movements before attempting them. They visualize the path, the effort, the timing. The body prepares. Muscles adjust tension. Heart rate anticipates exertion. Coordination aligns. And when the real moment arrives, the nervous system has already rehearsed the outcome multiple times. No conscious intention of success is required. No goal setting. No cheering yourself on. Preparation happens simply because the nervous system responds to signals, whether real or imagined. This shows how the body operates at a deeper level than conscious thought. Conscious mind is slow. It reacts after decisions are made. But the nervous system is fast. It preacts. It adjusts posture, prepares muscles, and aligns signals before a single movement occurs. Even imagined scenarios create real physiological changes. This is why visualization works in skill training, performance, and even recovery. The body acts on futures that exist only as patterns in the nervous system. Pain, effort, and fatigue are influenced too. Imagine running a mile in your mind. Muscles subtly tense, heart rate increases, breath adapts, nervous signals fire to muscles that will move. Fatigue may be anticipated, pain may be expected, yet nothing has actually happened. The body responds to the scenario as if it were happening. Thresholds are adjusted, endurance is primed, recovery patterns are rehearsed. Preparation occurs without intention, without goals, without even real movement. Even in small ways, this principle is visible. Think of walking through a dark room. Your mind anticipates obstacles, muscles tense subtly, eyes shift, balance adjusts. Even if there is nothing to trip over, the body reacts. Signals that anticipate danger or movement prepare the system. Events that never occur still shape the nervous system. The body operates in anticipation, guided by imagined scenarios, filtered through attention, belief, and perception. This phenomenon also explains why people can perform better under certain mental states. Confidence, focus, and belief can amplify the body's response to imagined rehearsals. Attention determines which signals are reinforced. Muscles respond, nerves fire, heart rate adjusts, breath adapts. The body is not waiting for reality to happen. It is already responding to signals that forecast the future, and the future in this case is purely imagined. Even recovery can be influenced. Visualizing proper form, movement, or alignment can enhance the nervous system's readiness. Injuries may heal more effectively when the body rehearses movement in safe, imagined scenarios. Coordination improves, balance strengthens, timing sharpens, and all this happens without conscious effort. The nervous system treats rehearsed events as real. The body adjusts, adapts, and prepares for situations that do not yet exist. This shows the subtle power of mind over matter. Performance, endurance, skill, and recovery are not only influenced by physical practice. They are shaped by neurological rehearsal. The nervous system acts on signals that exist only in the mind. The body responds to imagined events as if they were real. Repetition in thought translates into readiness in action. What you imagine shapes what the body allows. And the process is automatic, invisible, and continuous. Even sleep reinforces this principle. Dreams often involve imagined movement, scenarios, or outcomes. Muscles subtly respond. Neural pathways fire. Coordination is refined. Recovery and adaptation occur. The body rehearses while consciousness rests. The nervous system treats imagined events as opportunities for preparation. This is not conscious effort. It is automatic calibration. Mind and body communicate silently, preparing for futures that exist only as signals. This also explains why visualization can improve focus and reduce perceived effort. When the nervous system rehearses a movement, coordination is smoother. Fatigue may be lessened. Pain may be perceived as lower. Attention is trained. Belief is reinforced. Thresholds are quietly adjusted, and the body responds before reality arrives. The imagined scenario becomes a rehearsal, shaping real-world outcomes without physical movement. Even ordinary skills benefit. Typing, speaking, drawing, or practicing a musical piece can be strengthened through visualization. The nervous system responds, the body adjusts, muscles align, nerves fire, coordination improves, timing sharpens. All of this happens in preparation for events that are not yet real. The body acts as if the scenario is already unfolding, treating the imagination as rehearsal, training, and anticipation. In essence, the body lives partially in the future. It responds to signals, forecasts, and imagined scenarios. Attention, belief, and expectation shape the preparation. Pain, effort, endurance, and coordination are all influenced. The conscious mind often takes credit for what has already been rehearsed by the nervous system. Reality is then confirmed. The system has already acted. The body has already prepared. The imagined event becomes a training ground, invisible but potent. So the next time you picture a movement, a challenge, or even a routine action, remember that your body is listening. Muscles are aligning. Heart rate is adjusting. Nerves are firing. Preparation is occurring without intention, without goals, without conscious success framing. The body acts on futures that exist only as signals. Mind over matter is not just about effort. It is about the silent rehearsal of what has not yet happened. The system is always ahead, preparing, adjusting, and responding to the imagined world before the real one arrives. Identity is always running, even when you are not paying attention. Not the identity you speak of when you introduce yourself, not the labels you use out loud. It is the identity that quietly guides your decisions, your posture, your habits, your attention, and even your limits. It is compressed belief, packed into a background program that tells the body and mind what is normal, possible, and expected. You rarely notice it, but it shapes almost everything you do. Think about a simple action like standing up from a chair. You do not plan each muscle contraction. You do not consciously think about balance or posture. Your body follows the program of identity. It knows you as the person who stands in a certain way. It knows your habits, your tendencies, your style. This automatic behavior is not conscious effort. It is identity in action. Every movement you make, every reaction is filtered through it. Even patterns of endurance and effort are influenced by identity. Someone who identifies as strong or capable will push further, not because they think about it consciously, but because the internal program, the compressed belief of identity, permits it. Someone who believes themselves fragile or limited will stop sooner, again without thinking. The body responds automatically to what identity allows. It is a background rule set. It operates silently, shaping limits, expectations, and responses. Identity is also closely tied to belief. Your assumptions about who you are, what you can do, and what you usually experience are all compressed into this invisible program. It does not require conscious reinforcement every moment. You act in ways consistent with identity without noticing. Behavior flows naturally from the background program. It is why people often struggle to change. Effort alone cannot override identity. The program runs beneath awareness, directing signals, attention, and reactions. Even attention interacts with identity. What you focus on, what you highlight, and what you ignore is filtered through the lens of who you are. A person who sees themselves as cautious notices danger. A person who sees themselves as bold notices opportunity. Signals are amplified or muted based on identity. Pain, effort, fatigue, endurance, all are interpreted through the lens of this silent program. Identity silently sets the context for perception and response. This explains why small changes in behavior feel hard. You cannot simply force yourself to act outside identity for long. Muscles, nerves, and attention are wired to obey the program. Thresholds of fatigue, effort, and tolerance all reflect who you believe you are at a fundamental level. The body resists actions that conflict with the internal story. Change is possible, but only when identity itself is modified. Otherwise, effort works against a system designed to maintain stability. Even mental patterns follow identity. Habits of thought, attention, worry, and expectation all trace back to the background program. Someone who identifies as anxious reacts to stimuli differently than someone who identifies as calm. Pain, effort, and endurance are all filtered through these internal assumptions. The body obeys the narrative of identity without question. Muscles, nerves, attention, and thresholds are all shaped by the compressed belief running silently. Identity can also quietly amplify strengths. A person who identifies as disciplined will experience motivation naturally. Attention flows in line with identity. Effort is supported automatically. The nervous system primes muscles and attention without conscious instruction. Thresholds feel higher. Pain feels lower. Endurance extends. Everything the body does is colored by the background program of who you assume yourself to be. Change is possible but rarely effortless. To shift behavior, you must first shift identity. Redefine who you are at the level of compressed belief, not by thinking about it once, not by forcing a single action, but by repeatedly interacting with the new assumption until it replaces the old program. Only then will the nervous system, muscles, attention, and thresholds follow naturally. Behavior shifts passively once identity is updated. Until then, effort is resisted by the hidden program running quietly. Even tiny aspects of daily life reveal identity in action. How you walk, how you lift objects, how you respond to stress, how you manage pain, all follow internal assumptions about yourself. You do not consciously approve each action. The program runs silently, guiding perception, response, and endurance. Heart rate, breath, and subtle tension all obey the rules of identity. Thresholds are maintained. Limits are enforced. Attention is filtered. Pain is interpreted. The body is responding automatically to who it believes it is. This is why identity can feel fixed, unchangeable. It runs in the background, invisible, unnoticed. People rarely question it because it seems natural. It is the default setting for perception and behavior. Most actions feel like choices, but they are actually obeying a compressed system of beliefs, thresholds, and interpretations. The body follows identity without thinking. Muscles, attention, and thresholds are all part of the program. Conscious effort is secondary. Even fatigue and endurance reflect identity. Someone who identifies as capable naturally extends effort. Someone who identifies as fragile naturally limits it. Pain is interpreted through this program. Signals are amplified or muted. Attention is guided unconsciously. The mind interprets the situation through the lens of identity. Experience itself is shaped by this silent program. The body obeys automatically. Thresholds follow quietly. Limits are guided invisibly. The most interesting part is that identity is editable. You are not permanently bound by the program you inherited or developed. By noticing assumptions, by practicing new patterns, by reinforcing new beliefs, the internal program can be rewritten. Muscles, nerves, attention, thresholds, endurance, pain, all begin to respond differently once identity is updated. Change does not require force. It requires rewriting the compressed belief running silently in the background. Even subtle edits in identity create profound effects. Changing how you see yourself affects behavior without effort. Movement, attention, and perception align naturally with the new story. Effort no longer feels like strain. Pain no longer feels overwhelming. Thresholds expand. Endurance increases. The nervous system, muscles, and mind respond automatically to the revised internal program. Identity shapes the body silently, continuously, invisibly. So the next time you feel limited, frustrated, or unable to act differently, remember that identity is running quietly in the background. It is shaping attention, thresholds, endurance, perception of pain, and even time. Change requires editing the program, not forcing the body. Behavior follows identity naturally, passively, almost effortlessly once the program is updated. The mystery of mind over matter is deeply tied to who you assume yourself to be and how that silent program interacts with the body and mind. Identity is not fixed. It is a background assumption, a compressed belief guiding perception and action. It is invisible yet powerful. It sets thresholds, filters attention, interprets pain, negotiates effort, and even shapes time. Behavior is passive once the program is established. Change it and the body will follow. The limits you feel, the fatigue you experience, the way you respond to signals, all are a reflection of identity. And realizing that identity is editable reveals one of the deepest mysteries of mind over matter. Every thought you have is more than an idea. It is a signal traveling through your body, shaping chemistry, directing cells, and changing experience. Your mind does not just interpret the world. It communicates with the body at a biochemical level. Hormones shift, neurotransmitters fire, stress chemicals surge or fade. Every thought triggers a cascade of responses inside you, completely automatic, completely real, and completely measurable. When you think about danger, even in imagination, your body reacts. Adrenaline rises, heart rate increases, muscles tense, blood flow shifts. Your cells respond as if a threat exists, even when the room is quiet, even when nothing outside demands it. The mind is sending signals and the body obeys without hesitation. Perception, attention, and action are all influenced by these chemical messages. What you imagine, expect, or anticipate becomes a biochemical conversation. Even calm thoughts have effects. Thinking about safety, about a peaceful scene, or about control over a situation reduces stress chemicals like cortisol. Heart rate slows, breathing deepens, muscles relax, neural pathways fire differently. Cells register the message. The body changes its state in direct response to the signals the mind sends. The process is automatic, invisible, and continuous. Every second, your thoughts are shaping internal chemistry. This explains why belief is so powerful. When you assume a certain outcome or identity, your nervous system and hormonal systems respond in alignment. Thresholds, endurance, perception of fatigue, and even pain are affected. Neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins are released or suppressed based on interpretation. Cells detect chemical signals, muscles adjust tension, heart rate adapts, and even immune responses respond. Thinking becomes a form of biochemical communication. Stress is a clear example. When the mind perceives threat, even imagined, the hypothalamus triggers a chain reaction. The pituitary gland releases signals. The adrenal glands produce cortisol and adrenaline. Blood pressure rises. Muscles tighten. The body prepares for action. Pain is heightened. Perception is sharpened. The chemical message travels to cells throughout the body. Even without movement, the system reacts as if reality itself demanded it. Pleasure, reward, and anticipation work similarly. Dopamine surges when expecting success or reward. Neural circuits strengthen. Attention sharpens. Effort feels lighter. Thresholds expand. The body responds to the mind's forecast. The chemical signals do not need external validation. The nervous system, muscles, and cells all obey. Thoughts themselves create measurable changes in experience and performance. Even subtle patterns of thought have cumulative effects. Repeated worry amplifies stress hormones. Muscles tense continuously. Neural pathways reinforce attention to threat. Pain, fatigue, and endurance are all influenced over time. Repeated calm, confident, or focused thought amplifies positive chemical signaling. Thresholds rise. Muscles relax. Endurance improves. Cells respond and the body subtly adapts. The mind communicates its state to every system continuously. Consider preparation and visualization. Imagining an effort or a skill activates pathways that trigger chemical responses similar to real action. Heart rate may adjust. Muscles may prime. Neural pathways fire. Hormones shift slightly to support energy, focus, or coordination. Even without motion, the body is rehearsing biochemically. The nervous system obeys thought signals as if the scenario were real. Cells respond. Muscles adjust. Chemistry adapts. Preparation is silent but profound. This is why attention, identity, belief, and expectation are so intertwined with physical performance. They do not act only at a mental level. They act chemically. Signals from thought instruct the nervous system, glands, and cells. The body is continuously interpreting, adapting, and responding. Heart rate, breath, muscle tension, pain perception, fatigue, and endurance all follow chemical messaging sent by thinking. It is cause and effect, measurable and real. Even minor shifts in thought produce noticeable outcomes. Focusing on calmness lowers stress hormones. Focusing on effort amplifies readiness chemicals. Thinking about safety or danger reshapes perception. Pain, effort, and threshold are influenced not just by signals from the body, but by signals sent from thought. The biochemical conversation never stops. Cells interpret context, expectation, and attention, and adjust accordingly. Reality is filtered through chemistry dictated by the mind. Sleep and rest are also influenced. Thoughts before sleep affect hormonal release. Cortisol, melatonin, and other regulators shift based on mental state. Heart rate adjusts. Muscle tension relaxes or persists. The body is responding to the chemical signals created by thought patterns. Even dreaming produces chemical cascades that influence neural pathways, muscle readiness, and perception. Thought communicates continuously, even when consciousness seems absent. Recovery and healing work the same way. Positive expectations, focused visualization, and calm thoughts can reduce stress signaling, improve circulation, and influence immune response. Cells detect chemical messages. Muscles relax. Nerves recalibrate. Endurance and performance are subtly affected. Even injuries or fatigue are modulated by the biochemistry triggered by the mind. Thought is a continuous dialogue with the body. Pain and effort, previously discussed as negotiable, are influenced directly by this chemistry. Attention magnifies signals. Belief sets thresholds. Identity filters perception. Thought triggers hormones and neurotransmitters. Cells, muscles, and nerves respond. The nervous system obeys. Thresholds adjust. Fatigue shifts. Pain amplifies or diminishes. Every chemical signal from thought alters how experience is interpreted. The body listens always to the mind's biochemistry. Even performance under pressure demonstrates this. Expectation, attention, and belief alter hormone levels instantly. Cortisol rises under threat, lowers under safety. Dopamine supports focus and motivation. Endorphins mitigate perceived pain. Muscles respond. Heart rate adapts. Thresholds adjust. Even without conscious effort, the nervous system, guided by chemical messages from thought, shapes the outcome of performance. The mind is commanding the body quietly, invisibly, chemically. This is why mind over matter is not just metaphorical. Thought literally changes the body through chemistry. Every second, every signal, every focus or belief pattern sends messages. Muscles adjust, nerves fire, hormones surge or fade, cells respond. Attention, identity, expectation, and visualization operate through biochemistry. Cause and effect are constant. Nothing mystical is required. It is science, silent, invisible, yet profound. So the next time you notice a thought, consider what it is doing. It is speaking to every system in your body. It is telling muscles how to prepare, heart how to beat, nerves how to respond, thresholds where to hold, and pain where to signal. Cells read the message. Hormones carry the instruction. Neurotransmitters amplify it. The body is a network listening to thought at every level. Thinking is biochemical communication. Understanding this changes perception of control. You are never passive. Your thoughts are active agents in your experience. Pain, fatigue, endurance, effort, and even time perception are all influenced by chemical messages from the mind. The body responds automatically. Thresholds adjust. Signals amplify or diminish. Mind over matter is not a promise. It is a fact of biology. Thought is always speaking. Cells are always listening. Experience is chemically mediated. Control is not always about doing more. Sometimes the deepest influence comes from doing less, from letting go. The harder you try, the more resistance appears. Muscles tighten, attention fragments, thoughts become noisy. Every signal in the body amplifies the very thing you are trying to overcome. Effort itself can become an obstacle. The mind tries to push, but the body responds by holding, bracing, and resisting. Pressure produces its own friction. There is a paradox hidden in this. By trying too hard, you interfere with what your nervous system naturally knows. Every reflex, every adjustment, every microcorrection is already programmed for efficiency. When effort is forced, it interrupts subtle coordination. Heart rate rises unnecessarily. Muscles tighten. Pain increases. Thresholds shrink. Perception becomes distorted. The very act of trying can block what the mind over matter system is capable of achieving. The strange solution is withdrawal. Letting go. Ceasing to fight. Stop overthinking. Stop forcing results. Silence allows the nervous system to recalibrate. Muscles release tension. Heart rate slows. Neural pathways resume their natural timing. Pain signals decrease. Fatigue feels lighter. Endurance extends. Effort does not vanish, it becomes effortless. The body aligns with the subtle guidance already present. Absence becomes instruction. Even in small tasks, this works. Typing, throwing a ball, lifting a weight, speaking, walking, or breathing. When attention overpowers automatic adjustment, the body stiffens. But when you step back and relax focus, the nervous system takes over. Coordination improves. Timing sharpens. Effort is efficient. Movements feel natural, almost fluid. The body always knows what to do. It only needs the mind to stop interrupting. This principle is visible in sports and performance. A runner pushing too hard may stumble or tire quickly. A golfer gripping the club tightly may miss the shot. A musician over-focusing may lose rhythm. The paradox is always the same. Effort interferes with natural processes. The nervous system operates best when allowed to work silently. Withdrawal of unnecessary pressure restores control and precision. Letting go is not giving up. It is allowing the system to function at peak capacity. Even in mental tasks, the same principle applies. Overthinking, analyzing, and forcing a solution increases cognitive friction. Neural signals collide. Attention becomes scattered. Memory falters. Ideas that flow easily under relaxed focus get blocked under pressure. The brain, like the body, performs best when allowed to operate without unnecessary interference. Withdrawal of effort creates space for natural intelligence to emerge. Control emerges when trying disappears. Pain, fatigue, and limits follow the same rule. When you push hard against them, the signals amplify. Muscles tighten. Attention fixates. Pain intensifies. Thresholds shrink. But when effort is released, the nervous system recalibrates. Pain is reinterpreted. Muscles relax. Heart rate stabilizes. Fatigue eases. Thresholds expand naturally. Withdrawal of effort is not weakness. It is a subtle form of command. Even attention itself benefits from withdrawal. Constantly directing attention creates tension. Focusing too strongly on a signal magnifies it. Letting the mind soften focus allows signals to self-organize. Microadjustments occur automatically. Neural pathways fire in sequence. Timing improves. Coordination emerges. Effort is transformed into alignment. The absence of force is itself a kind of instruction. This principle also interacts with visualization and identity. You have rehearsed scenarios mentally. You have set thresholds with belief and identity. You have shaped attention, chemical signaling, and perception. When you step back from conscious effort, the nervous system integrates all of this. Coordination, timing, endurance, and perception adjust naturally. The body responds to the signals already present. The mind stops adding noise and control emerges from the quiet. Even subtle withdrawal produces measurable effects. Heart rate drops, breath deepens, muscles loosen, pain diminishes, thresholds rise, signals flow, neural timing improves, performance appears effortless. The system has not changed, only interference has been removed. Absence, silence, and letting go allow the underlying intelligence of the nervous system to express itself fully. This is why meditation, focus exercises, and mindful relaxation work so effectively. They do not push the body or mind to perform. They remove unnecessary interference. They allow attention, belief, identity, and chemical signaling to integrate without friction. Coordination, endurance, and threshold are enhanced simply because the nervous system is allowed to work naturally. Control arises through absence rather than effort. Even breathing demonstrates this. When you try to force breath, inhale too deeply, or pace it deliberately, tension builds. Muscles engage unnecessarily. Heart rate rises. Nervous system signals collide. But when you relax, allow breath to flow naturally, control emerges. Oxygen reaches tissues efficiently. Muscles relax. Heart rate adjusts. Microadjustments happen automatically. The body shows that absence of interference is itself instruction. Pain provides another clear example. Trying to fight pain, resisting it consciously, or focusing obsessively on it amplifies the sensation. Every signal is reinforced. Thresholds shrink. But when attention softens and effort to control pain disappears, the nervous system recalibrates. Pain intensity drops. Muscles release tension. Thresholds expand. Effortful resistance is replaced by natural alignment. Withdrawal of effort becomes a subtle way of negotiating signals. Even in extreme physical conditions, withdrawal is powerful. Climbers, runners, and athletes discover that trying too hard to maintain pace, force strength, or ignore fatigue often backfires. Micro-adjustments falter, coordination slips, muscles tighten, heart rate spikes. When they relax, effort, focus softens, and attention integrates naturally, performance improves. The system is not being forced. It is allowed to operate according to its internal intelligence. Control is regained through absence, not action. This principle also applies to mental endurance. Studying, problem-solving, or creative work often stalls when forced. Trying hard increases mental friction. Thoughts collide. Attention scatters. Energy drains. When you step back, take a pause, or shift focus, integration occurs naturally. Insights appear effortlessly. Ideas align. Memory improves. Focus sharpens. Withdrawal is itself a form of control. The paradox is clear. Effort can reduce capability and letting go can enhance it. The nervous system is not lazy. It operates with subtle intelligence, fine-tuned coordination, and automatic adjustments. Effort can block the natural flow of signals. Withdrawal removes interference. Alignment emerges. Performance improves. Pain, fatigue, attention, and thresholds adjust naturally. The absence of effort becomes a form of instruction. Even microactions reflect this principle. Posture, balance, timing, coordination, and subtle movements all improve when unnecessary effort is removed. The body obeys signals already present. Muscles relax. Neural pathways fire efficiently. Heart rate and breathing synchronize. Thresholds adjust. Pain is reinterpreted. Effort no longer dominates. Withdrawal allows the system to express its intelligence fully. So the next time you are pushing too hard, fighting, or trying to force control, consider stepping back. Let go. Relax attention. Release effort. Allow the nervous system to integrate signals, attention, belief, identity, and chemical messaging. Heart rate will adjust. Breath will flow. Muscles will relax. Pain will ease. Thresholds will expand. Control does not always come from doing more. Sometimes it comes from doing less. Absence becomes a powerful instruction. The most surprising lesson of mind over matter is revealed here. You do not always need to act. Sometimes stepping back, letting go, and releasing effort is the ultimate way to guide the body and mind. The nervous system recalibrates naturally. Performance improves. Pain diminishes. Thresholds expand. Effort transforms into alignment. Withdrawal is not inaction. It is a form of control. And understanding this paradox is one of the deepest insights into how the mind commands the body silently and effectively. There is a moment when nothing needs to be done. Not by you. Not by the mind. Not by the body. The usual negotiation between attention, effort, belief, identity, and chemistry simply stops. The signals soften on their own. Heart rate eases. Breath flows naturally. Muscles release tension without instruction. Pain fades into background noise. Thresholds stabilize. Endurance is maintained. The body continues to operate but without conscious interference. It is not a reward. It is not a goal. It is not a state to achieve. There is no finish line, no purpose, no expectation. The nervous system is free to settle. Neural pathways fire naturally without the pressure of focus. Hormones circulate quietly without conscious thought dictating pace or intensity. Muscles and nerves respond to each other without command. The body and mind operate as a system that no longer negotiates with itself. Even perception softens. Time loses its tension. Seconds do not stretch. Moments do not collapse. Attention is not sharpening or magnifying. Signals are present, but they are not amplified. The mind is neither predicting nor interpreting. The body is neither resisting nor forcing. Everything is allowed to exist as it is. The system hums quietly like a machine at rest, but a machine that is still alive, still aware, still functioning at its own rhythm. Pain, fatigue, and effort continue to exist, but they are not commanding. They are information, simple signals without insistence. The body notices, adjusts, and lets go. Thresholds exist, but they are not enforced aggressively. Energy flows where it needs to flow. Heartbeat, breath, muscle tone, and nerve signals operate in balance. The body behaves without pressure. The mind observes without intervention. There is no struggle. There is no attempt. Even memory seems quieter. Thoughts arise and fade without clinging. Visualizations, forecasts, and predictions do not push forward. The mind does not rehearse. Identity is present, but it is not acting. Belief exists, but it is not driving behavior. Attention is not amplifying. Hormones and neurotransmitters continue their work, but without urgency or focus. Everything happens without effort. The body and mind are allowed to exist in their natural state. This is the paradox of doing nothing. It is not emptiness. It is not inactivity. The system is fully engaged, but engagement no longer requires command. The subtle intelligence of the body, the quiet chemistry of thought, the alignment of nervous signals, the calibration of thresholds, all continue to function without interference. Effort has been removed. Attention has softened. Identity has paused. Belief has settled. And yet life continues perfectly integrated. Even micro-adjustments occur without instruction. Heart rate, breath, posture, and muscle tone align naturally. Neural pathways fire as needed. Cells respond to chemical signaling. Pain is registered, fatigue is noted, thresholds are maintained. Yet there is no push. There is no pull. Signals move through the body without amplification. The mind and body exist in silent coordination. Nothing needs to be done. Everything continues. Movement is optional. Muscles can contract or relax as required. Nerves can fire or wait. Attention can notice or rest. Pain can signal or fade. Fatigue can build or ease. Heart rate can accelerate or slow. Breath can deepen or soften. Each system operates in its own natural rhythm, unforced, uninterrupted, and unnoticed. The body and mind continue as a self-regulating system, free from conscious negotiation. Even external events are softer here. No signal is resisted or amplified excessively. Temperature, light, sound, and touch are experienced without judgment. Perception is calm, not directed. Time exists, but its passage is neutral. Moments flow, but not with urgency. The system does not attempt to control or predict. The mind does not insist. The body does not resist. Everything exists as it is, without evaluation or effort. This is not a state to achieve. It cannot be manufactured. It is not a reward for effort or success. It is the natural settling of a system that has run its course through attention, belief, identity, visualization, chemistry, and withdrawal. Once all negotiation ends, the body and mind simply exist. Signals continue. Thresholds operate. Attention rests. Identity pauses. Chemistry flows. Everything functions quietly without interference. Even the sense of self is quieter here. Identity is present but not acting. Belief exists but does not drive perception or behavior. Attention notices but does not amplify. Thought communicates biochemically but without urgency. Visualization and rehearsal are unnecessary. Thresholds adjust naturally. Pain is information, not command. Fatigue is noted, not enforced. Heart rate and breathing respond to internal rhythms, not effort. The system exists without struggle. Even preparation continues. Muscles subtly maintain tone. Nerves keep pathways active. Chemical signals circulate. Neural timing continues. Microadjustments occur. Coordination remains intact. Endurance is maintained. Thresholds remain flexible. Pain is present but unforced. Effort is minimal. Everything functions as it should without conscious control. The system is fully alive, fully engaged, and fully independent of attention or interference. This is the final insight of the story. That mind over matter does not require constant effort. Control does not require force. Awareness does not need to dominate. Effort does not need to push. Belief, identity, attention, visualization, and thought chemistry have already set the system. Once interference stops, the system operates on its own intelligence. The body and mind continue seamlessly, quietly, and without conscious struggle. Even signals from imagined scenarios, rehearsed movements, or anticipated thresholds continue to function silently. Pain signals, fatigue, and effort are still registered. Heart rate, breath, and micromuscle adjustments persist. Neural pathways fire. Hormones circulate. Neurotransmitters move. All of this continues without direction, without judgment, without interference. The body is its own guide. The mind is its own observer. Nothing needs to be done. Even consciousness itself is quieter. Thoughts arrive and fade without insistence. Memory, prediction, and perception exist without demanding action. Attention rests, awareness observes, identity pauses, chemistry continues, signals move, thresholds adjust. Pain and fatigue exist as information. Effort is absent. The system functions perfectly, silently, and independently. The story ends here, not with resolution. There is no conclusion, no advice, no final command. The system continues beyond attention, beyond effort, beyond negotiation. Mind and body exist in quiet integration. Signals soften, thresholds stabilize. Heart rate, breath, and muscles follow natural rhythm. Chemistry flows. Pain and fatigue are present but not demanding. Perception continues without pressure. Effort has been withdrawn. The process moves on, invisible and uninterrupted. And so the final lesson is revealed in subtlety. You do not need to act, to decide, to push, or to control. The body and mind have their own intelligence. The nervous system, chemical signaling, attention, belief, identity, and perception continue seamlessly. Effort is optional. Interference is unnecessary. Nothing needs to be done, yet everything continues. Life, sensation, endurance, perception, and experience move on quietly, beyond the reach of attention.